I agree that if I put more efforts on chess, I could be stronger. Maybe one day I could break 2,700, or even I could be top 50 or top even 40, 30. I don't think that's impossible, to be honest. But for me, no. I thought life shouldn't be like that. Otherwise, it would be like a machine, a chess machine.
The FIDE Commission for Women's Chess in cooperation with Chess24 seeks your donations to help our Ukrainian chess players and their families affected by the ongoing war in Ukraine. If you want to donate, please find the link in the description below or on the FIDE webpage.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to our third episode of our Year of Women in Chess podcast series. Today's guest is a Grandmaster with a current rating of 2,658, ranking number 83 in the world. She's a four-time Women's World Chess Champion and the second highest rated female player of all time. Besides being a world-class chess player, she studied international relations in Peking University and public policy at the University of Oxford. And in 2020, at the age of just 26, became the youngest ever professor appointed at Shenzhen University. I'm very happy and honored to welcome today's guest, Hou Yifan. Welcome, Yifan.
Hello, Lilli. Hi, everyone. It's my honor to join this podcast.
Well, we're very glad to have you here. First of all, Yifan, let me start off by wishing you a happy belated Lunar New Year. Did you, besides probably still, even though there's still some corona restrictions in place in China, still manage to celebrate a little bit with your family and friends?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's not late at all because we started the new year the day before yesterday. Yeah, like the 1st of February this year. So we're still on holiday, and this year we're going to have like a week holiday. And as you mentioned, yes, I spent the festival with my family. Though, I mean, yeah, due to this COVID situation, we're in Shenzhen. So our plan was probably like, let's say, go back to hometown and so on. But since Shenzhen had a few new cases, exactly in the 31st of January, so that somehow changed our plan.
That is quite unfortunate, but at least your family is there, and I guess you can still celebrate together a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so let's get straight into the chess, actually, because we're just having a 1-hour podcast, and considering the huge amounts of tournaments you won and the successes you had, it's actually a really short time. So you are currently still the strongest woman in the world, yet since 2018, you actually participated in very few tournaments. But I did see that you made a semi-recent reappearance in the Chess Super League in 2021, which is a tournament organized online where you competed for the quintessential queens. How was it to play such a strong tournament again, and how do you generally feel about playing chess online?
So the event you're mentioning is this, we call it like a Super Chess League. Is that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So actually that is not the only one, and I guess not the most important event that I participated last year, and also not the last one, because coincidentally in China we had a kind of, let's say, paired events just happened before the festival, let's say 29th and 30th of January this year. Yeah, so that was the last one. But of course, the one you mentioned, it's a very interesting event because the format is new, and the organizer is trying to invite players from different countries with different gender, from different age, and they're trying to do a great mix up. So I thought the format is great, and clearly it's attracted a lot of attention. So I was very happy to be invited and participate in that one, although the performance of myself and my team didn't go very well. But I guess it's in general a great event trying to promote the, let's say, online chess, trying to attract more people and bring some interesting games to all chess fans around the world. And apart from this one, actually last year I played the online Olympiad organized by FIDE and represented China. We we got an improvement compared to the year before, let's say in 2020, but unfortunately, we didn't manage to, let's say, go into the final. So that leaves some room to improve the next year. And apart from this event, I also participated in a couple of events organized by chess.com. Let's say this speed chess and also some other events, let's say online or even offline that happen in China. Yeah, by the way, last year we got an important one called National Games. So I was participating in that one and one event. So I guess that is somehow, how to say, important for the athletes in China. But for me, basically, you say that now I'm not only focusing on chess, let's say, participating in events as a player is not the only and the highest priority, but I still cherish every single chance, every single opportunity that I could put myself into chess as a player.
Do you actually feel that this chance of playing online is a good option for you while you still have another job on the side to participate in like very high class tournaments without, like, for example, traveling so much? Or are you actually very much looking forward to over the board chess properly starting off again after the pandemic?
Well, it is very hard to say. So personally, let's say if do not consider my own situation, I would prefer the face-to-face events, and I thought that's let's say more important for serious chess, because we all know that online events, on one hand, it promotes chess, it gives chess players more opportunities to play games and showing chess fans what happened the latest and an interesting battle, but somehow it cannot demonstrate the highest chess level if we're only organizing the online events. So that's to say, the OTB events is necessary. But unfortunately, due to the global climate, let's say, these couple of years, we cannot organize as much offline events as the previous years. So I'm very happy that in chess, the FIDE, the organizers, and the chess clubs, the platforms, we're trying to do a great job to collaborate with each other and come up with a lot of new events, interesting formats, trying to keep chess going on as much as possible. So that also shows, the privilege of chess. That means almost every format of events, the different time control could be happened online.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to your question. Personally, of course, I thought it even works better for me because let's assume if nowadays it's still like most of the events happened, let's say, offline, due to my current job and other stuffs I'm doing, it's very hard that I could travel even as half as I did in the past years when I was basically a full, let's say, a professional chess player. So that's different. That's very hard. But in general, I think that if one day there are more chances to play some face-to-face events, I would be very happy to consider.
Yeah, I think it's interesting times for chess because, as you said, like we're quite lucky compared to other sports that we can so easily go online and change formats, and it's going to be interesting to see what sticks around and also maybe what gets established in terms of like hybrid formats and stuff, because I do think they all have advantages.
Just to add, online chess, it does not equals to offline chess. So to say it's different chess. So that is my point of view. No matter we see how good we did while doing the online chess events, but it's different. To me, it's completely different. So for example, could we try to imagine, let's say, we put the World Championship match or even candidates or Grand Prix, moving all these important events online? No, that's impossible. I mean, for blitz, probably it's possible, but if we're talking about the classical time control, it's very hard. So it's still like the different thing. So I'm mainly taking this online chess from a promotional perspective, but not a professional perspective.
Yeah, I think that's a common view. I think they're more like complementing formats. So I don't think online chess will like kind of wipe out the over the board, but it's a nice additional opportunity. So maybe we can go back a bit into the past. So basically, in 2003, you won your first international tournament when you finished in the girls under 10 section in the World Youth Championship. And then a few years later, in 2008, I think you were just aged 14, you then competed in the Open World Junior Chess Championship, being the only girl there. And kind of looking at how you changed between different age classes and open and female tournaments, I wondered, how did you or your coach or family make the decisions on what to play?
Mm, well, I think there was no particular point. Let's say we were trying to make a serious decision, let's say what to play. So it's more like a natural process. So for example, you mentioned I played the, let's say, World Youth Championship when I was 9 years old. So at that time, I played under my age group with the gender, with a, let's say, with the girls section. So that's exactly my group, right? But I won it quite smoothly. So later on next year, so basically, we just came up with the idea, let's say, probably we should try to challenge more. At that time, challenge more means two options, right? Either you play an elder age group or you play in the open section. So we decided to just try to play the open section. And at that time, I got, let's say, I got to share the first place, but this tiebreak points were lower. So that, on the other hand, also shows that I was kind of in the strength to compete with the best many boys in my age group. So that even gives me more confidence to work harder and maybe try to challenge myself with a stronger chess player. So that is not because that we seriously think about, okay, which age group to choose or maybe which section to choose. It's basically firstly evaluate your own strengths and based on your own strengths trying to figure out which group is more challenged to yourself and could try to help improving the playing skills. So that's basically the only thing, at least I thought I care about, and also my family cares about. And also, coaches are very supportive in this perspective. They didn't say, okay, so you have to play your group in case you wanted to win the medals. No, they never say something like that. They also thought, okay, so you should try to try best to try to improve and showing the great performance. That's all.
Okay, so it was mostly a decision to find basically the tournaments which would challenge you most and help you most to grow. That's very interesting.
Yeah. We didn't only try to highlight the resort as the sole factor while we were choosing the chess events, but on the other hand, I was trying to recall those years because let's say the the event is not as much as nowadays. I'm saying nowadays, not under pandemic, but a few years ago there were a lot of events, open tournaments, and people can travel easily across the country trying to play the events. No, back to that time, I remember that as a Chinese, when we travel abroad to play events, we need to apply for visa, right? Because most of the events were held in Europe countries, and every time the visa only gives to certain days that to support only this event, and in around 2006 to 2008, so sometimes I was just, let's say, for example, in Hungary, I play one event, okay, then go back to China, the same day apply for another Schengen visa, and the next day fly to France, so things like that. So it's actually not so easy to travel abroad playing events, but since there are limited options, so to me, I feel like, let's say, very cherished for every potential event I could play myself. Therefore, of course, you want to choose those that can practice yourself more.
Yeah, it's something we kind of forget, especially as viewers when we're not playing so many high class tournaments ourselves, but we just see the top players play in these events and we kind of forget that they have to do the same things that everyone else of us have to do, like apply for visas, do these kind of things. But it's true that it's probably not so easy coming from a lot of countries. Yeah, let's move on a bit in time. So in 2010, you actually became Women's World Chess Champion for the first time, winning the final round in the knockout system 5-3 against Ran Lufei. Can you maybe talk us a little bit through the tournament, how you remember it? Were there any memorable games? How do you feel like you handled the pressure?
Well, that seems to me like a very old story. So I was trying to recall. Of course, that is a very important event in my chess career. I wouldn't say that become a world champion is my professional goal, but at least it's a step that I want one day it could come true. So, I came to this tournament. I remember that was in Turkey. Yeah, in 2010 in Turkey. I came to the tournament, of course, with some expectations because 2 years ago I already became a runner-up. So I went to the final, but unfortunately I didn't manage to win the final, right? So of course, the next year, I mean the next edition, 2 years later, I hope that I could move even further. But it's a knockout system, so there are more unexpected things might happen. There are more uncertainty. Although with one of the rating favorites, I didn't really tell myself, let's say, you have to win the tournament, or even breaking the record. No, I don't take that so seriously. I just hope that, okay, so step by step, I could try to go further, right? And I remember there were a few critical moments in that tournament. I passed the first 2 rounds without too many, let's say, up and downs. But in round 3, I faced one of my teammates. She was also a former world champion, Zhu Chen. Yeah, she's now working at FedEx, so as a treasurer. Yeah. So I faced her in, I think, round 3. Yeah. So I won my first game with white pieces, but somehow she played super well in the second game with white pieces. I remember we played this name zone defense. Yeah, she got a great home preparation, and somehow right from the opening, I faced some pressure and I got a worse position, and my opponent played accurately, trying to keep this advantage until the end and convert it into a full point. So after losing that game, I feel like, okay, so the situation could be a little tricky. I'm not saying that, okay, I lose a confidence or whatever, but I realize, there is a tiebreak, the first tiebreak in this event, but it doesn't really, let's say, influenced my emotions a lot. I just try to be smooth and playing the tiebreak with a regular mindset. I mean, I didn't say, okay, I have to win back or otherwise this would be the end of the day. No, because I felt like my opponent actually had a very good home preparation for that event and she played well. So I thought, okay, so let's just play some chess. So luckily I won the tiebreak with a smooth performance, and then I move forward, and the next critical moments going to the quarterfinal. I think it's quarterfinal. I'm not so sure. Okay, but my opponent was Katya Nagno. She is also one of the top female players, and she also became super strong at a very young age. And I remember the first game. Yeah, the first game I was black pieces, and she chose Alabin defense against my Sicilian. At the time, I played almost all Sicilian with black pieces. Okay, so she's not hard to prepare something. Okay, she prepared a specific line, and there was a trap waiting for me. And unfortunately, I went to that trap. But of course, she didn't know that as well. And during the game, if she found a good move with an accurate move order, I think I will lose some material. That means the game would be more or less hopeless. But luckily that she didn't find that. That was relatively hidden. So then the game continues with equal chances. But I guess probably she also felt like, okay, she got a better position. She had an extra pawn. So she is trying to put pressure and trying to win that game. And somehow around the around the move 40, let's say, roughly around the first time control and second time control, she made a few inaccurate moves that would allow the advantages disappeared. And she's still trying to put some pressure. And later on, I got some good chances to fight back and trying to win that game with black pieces. And after that, almost this mini match is over. So after these two critical moments, of course, the game then continued with semi-final and final. And, when the event goes to that point of view, of course, it's more, how to say, not to say exciting, but it's combining the exciting and a bit nervous, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in the semi-final, I faced my opponent I faced many times, Helmi from India, and we faced each other 2 years ago in the semifinal because we always got the same starting number according to the rating. Yeah, and I think I played well, so I won that match without too many difficulties. I mean, of course, the game process has let's say key moments, but if we're looking from the result, it's like no tie break, so more or less smoothly. And then the tournament goes to the final. And first of all, we're happy because I faced with my teammates. Therefore, that means that China will have, let's say, will win this event anyhow. So that in some case released my pressure, right? But still, then we need to talk personally. I'm still trying to win this match. And the first three, I remember after first three classical games, the score were two versus one, right? So I got, let's say, 1 point ahead, and that means the final game only needed to be a draw. Okay, so I got black pieces, but unfortunately, again, my opponent prepared super well, and I got adverse position right from the beginning again, and I lose that game. Yeah, I lost that game. That means the situation goes to the starting point again. So I remember that night was somehow more like emotional to me compared to the previous days. So previous days, although I talked, let's say there are some critical moments, but the first thing is I was not that close to win the event, right? So your mindset is more stable. And second thing is that I didn't feel like my advantage is that huge. The goal is never that close. So that also helps me to be a bit calm down. But during that night, talking about the match progress and how I managed my terrible last game, I felt like, it's not the matter of chess skills, it's the matter of mindset. So I was very lucky that back to back to that time, I got my coaches with me, I got my mom with me, and also a friend who is actually the club leader of the team that I played for almost a decade back to then. So they were all there. And they were trying not only to help with me with some technical preparation, but mainly likely trying to help me relax and be ready for the next day as a new start. So I think that's the most important thing for me. I still remember that after the dinner, we walked outside in the garden just near the hotel where we were living and playing. And my team were trying to, share it with me. Not the story that they compete with chess, but some unrelated stories with jokes, whatever, just people are having fun. And sooner or later, I realized, well, it's just a tournament, right? So it's not the entire career for me. And according to the games I've played, the performance in that event, I have the, let's say, the skills to show the good performance. That's all I need to know. So I slept well, and next day I came to the venue feel like refreshed and not nervous. Yes. So in the tiebreak, I felt like I played quite some good games, and the score was also went very well. yeah.
I think that's thanks so much for giving us like a bit of an insight into the tournament. It's super fascinating to see how you deal with pressure. I think most people would have absolutely cracked in that situation, and you somehow managed to calm down yourself in just one evening and then win that tournament. So absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I feel like that is the thing that chess taught me, or let's say, chess helped me to be more tougher and more stronger in one thing. It's not like you read a couple of books or you talk with friends, with mentors, you could become like that. It should be, let's say, you experience something, right? It could be something in your career, something in your studies, or even something in your life. So I thought I was lucky. It's through chess games I could learn that, because chess games, if we talk about it's just games that happen over the chessboard. It does not hurt your life. It does not hurt your career. Especially not hurt your, let's say, the more general and more important things. Although chess is important, but you know what I talk about. Even if you lose this time, you have the next chance. There always be some chances waiting you to fight, right?
Yeah, we actually discussed this in our first podcast episode with Jana Krivek, because she actually wrote a whole book about this called Improve Your Life by Playing a Game, where she talks exactly about these things. So it seems to be like something that a lot of people can draw life lessons from. Let's get on to my next question. I guess like having won the first World Women's Championship for yourself, as you said, it wasn't like your only goal, but clearly it must have been something. And do you feel like anything changed for you after, in terms of like you ticked one really big goal off? Or for example, also I guess you went from being the person challenging that title to being a person defending that title?
Not really. I don't think there's a lot of change, especially if we're talking about chess wise, because let's say I keep playing the tournaments. I keep playing as much events as previously, and of course I got more invitation. That's true, by the way. Yeah, that's one thing. I got more invitation, but even I wanted to say, before I won the first title, I already got a couple of very good invitational chances. For example, I can say, okay, now Tata Steel. Yeah, I got invited to this Super Elite events the first time back to 2007, and until now I played at least like 7 or 8 times that event. So that really is a unique chance for me in my chess career. If we're talking about, let's say, important events that help me to improve my chess skills. So that's one thing. And the other thing, of course, after I won the title, suddenly there's more attention. There were more interviews, especially within that year. I mean, within a year, let's say 2010 or 2011. And you need to deal with some new things. For example, how to balance your training time, competing events, and also these interviews or promoting chess, this kind of things. Especially next year in 2012, I went into university, and that even one more thing came to life. So the time management became even more important. And apart from all these external things, which you can obviously observe, the inner side is more or less the same, because as we mentioned before, it's just a career step, not like the entire goal. So it does not really change myself thought about, okay, so maybe that's what I wanted to achieve in chess world. Now I should do something else. Or, okay, this really means a lot. So now I should try to defend the title. No, I never had any idea like that, because to me, even back to that time, the most important tournaments is not the World Championship. I mean, it's. I'm not saying that the World Championship is not important, but I mainly consider it as an event that a professional chess player should play, should try to fight for the title. But it doesn't mean that this is the tournament that I wanted to show myself, show the best performance. No, that is not the only event. So at that time, I already thought that I was eager to participate in more top events to challenge myself and also to improve myself to see how far I could achieve in the chess world. So whether, let's say, defending the title or challenging for the title, and never approaching things in that perspective.
Interesting. So if you say, so the World Championship for you is like one tournament in many, and it's not so much about the titles, it seems. Is there like for example, a game you played which you think is your best game, or which you can, like a tournament which you consider your strongest tournament?
They were few. I was trying to figure out. Okay. So of course, one of the events that came to my mind should be the 2012 Gibraltar. Yeah, 2012 Gibraltar, because I think I played some good games in that event, and also my tournament performance were one of the highest in my chess career, and I almost won the event. So the only pity thing is that I didn't perform very well in the tiebreak with Nigel Short, which, in the first tiebreak game when I was having black pieces, I still remember that was a French, and no, that was a Sicilian. Yeah, that was a Sicilian, sorry. The second game was French. Yeah, so I simply missed a chance that I could win a piece. So that is a great pity. Apart from that, the classical games I play in that event is very well, and most of the opponents I faced were almost in the top level. So apart from this event, there were other few events, let's say, like one of the Tata Steel and one of the Green Key Invitational events. I played very good in the first half, and somehow, the second half, it became another person playing the event. So I wouldn't say in general I was super satisfied with the performance, but if we only take part of it, let's say the first half, it went also very well. And there were other few open events, and also world championship and world team championship. I thought I did in general good performance, but that is not only taking account the performance, but also the importance of the tournament itself. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. There are just like some very big invitational tournaments, which I guess to every professional chess player are like the dream and like an absolute challenge to play.
Yeah.
Let's follow up with a question about the World Championship again, because you're actually, after winning the World Championship 4 times, the women's, you then decided not to play anymore. And I wanted to ask if you explain us a little bit your rationale behind this.
Yeah, let me try to figure this out, because that's already quite some time, almost 5 years or 6 years ago. But of course, I think I made that decision is because I felt like there should be some improvements, or let's say changes in the Women's World Chess Championship system. So considering that back to then, the system between the open section and the women's section is completely different. And also I felt like the previous version that, for example, when you win the match, you need to start from the scratch playing this knockout system again in case to defend the title. And once you defend the title, that as the winner of the knockout system, which we call it now the World Cup, you have the rights to wait for the challenger, which is actually the winner from the overall Grand Prix standings, to challenge you. I mean, all this sounds a bit sounds a bit different. Sounds that is something could be improved. So at the time, my first and the most straightforward concern is why we cannot have the same system as open section.
Yeah, so for you, the ideal modus would be the same for the women's as for the male competition, like the women's and the open competition, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So I felt like that's more reasonable, because once you win the match, you have the rights to wait for the challenger. And the challenger should be qualified, let's say, from candidates event, and the candidates should be qualified by, let's say, World Cup, Grand Prix, writing, and from all different sources. I feel that that is more like well organized. But back to then, in women's section, you see the World Cup winner will become the world champion. So World Cup nowadays is just the way to qualify for candidates. You already see there's a huge difference, right? And also back to then, the system would ask the world champion to play every year the world championship circle tournament, like knockout or match. So I felt like that's too much. And also, if we're looking from the history of chess, all the most influential championship tournaments were organized by matches. Let's say 1972, right? Bobby Fischer versus Boris Spassky, and 1985 Kasparov versus Karbov, right? And not to mention all these recently Magnus matches. So all these were happened in the match format. So I feel like that should be the one that demonstrates the highest professional level of chess. And also I thought it's good for promoting chess, because this could create more high quality chess games, and also showing not the player strengths and also the home preparation behind that and things so on. That doesn't to say that we should take out the other formats, as you see now, the other formats could be put into the right place to take in the right role as a part of the World Championship circle. So actually, I had this idea already a long time, at least 1 or 2 years before I officially, expressed, or let's say, officially writing to FIDE back to that. But at that time, I was just like talking personally, let's say, or friendly, at the official platform, because I felt like, okay, maybe one day they're going to change. But sooner or later, I see that there are always some problems, which I understand is also the real difficulties that this system did not be generated or updated. So after I won the match in 2016, I feel like it's probably the moment that I should do something, not only for myself, but also for this entire, let's say, women's chess. I was thinking, if I did not, let's say, stand up to say something, maybe this system would just be like that. And if we just wait until one day let's say, the federation would realize and change that, probably that takes more time, because as an international organization, FIDE has a lot of things. We have FIDE has different, let's say, commissions which take in different role, and they are not only pay attention to the professional chess, the open section, the women's section. They also taking the role to promote chess into school, and promoting support trainers. There's all different things. So I believe there must be a kind of different category with priority list, right? So which things to take first? It's hard to say. So I feel like probably if I say something that could bring more attention, trying to help the improvements for the system. So that's the reason I decided to do that. And as we all know, what happened next, actually very soon, right? I think just 2 years, then the system is changed. So talking about this, I really want to thank the current, let's say, the current management board of FIDE that taking this thing as the clear priority to improve the women's system in general. Although the only pity thing is, back to then, I lose the personal chance to, let's say, back to this circle, because I already, not in the system and also studying at Oxford. So personally, it's not a kind of a good thing. But in general, as a chess people, I felt like very happy that it could happen one day, and I actually helped to make these things happen.
That was very interesting insight. Thanks for sharing. And it's great that you're happy with the changes that were made. Maybe moving a bit away from the championships, a bit of a more personal question. I think what makes you stand out from other players quite a lot is that you very often, or not very often, but you every now and then state that for you chess is a game, and you know that there's other important things in life like friends or family or love or whatever. And I feel that's quite a statement that when people are really successful, whether in sport or a profession, it often seems like they dedicate their whole life to this. How did you manage to keep that attitude while still being so successful? And do you feel that's something you still have as an attitude, even though you now have a job as a professor that must be very busy as well?
Well, yeah, I also felt like, many of my friends in chess and other career, not only sports field, but other field, the best people, they kind of fully devote themselves, fully devote their passion into the thing they love and they're doing, right? So in this sense, I also felt like I'm a bit different, but also there are some people who are trying to combine different things very well. So back to my case, I felt like, first of all, it was something born in nature, and it highly relates with my family environment, that what they told me and how I felt when I grew up in my very early ages. So I felt like my personality is like, okay, so I wanted to do my best in the thing I do, but that shouldn't be the only thing in my life, and my life should not only surrounding this thing. That means, for example, I'm giving example. So one of my friend who is also an athlete, she told me that, okay, so the books I read, the exercise I do, and also the even, for example, like the eating habits should be the one that benefits my professional career. Or let's say, if some of the tutors or mentors said this would be good for your career, I should do that because you felt like it could improve. But for me, no, it's never the case. So let's say, my reading preference, let's say the food I like, the exercise I want to do, it should be all follow my heart. Let's say the thing I like, the thing I wanted to do, I thought that spending time on it is worthy. So I will do that. Otherwise, even if you only told me it's good for your chest, I said no, but I don't need that. Or even I realized, maybe sometimes it could be helpful, but I thought life shouldn't be like that. Otherwise, it would be like a machine, a chess machine. You want to be the best, the strongest. So what? I feel like even one day like that, I feel like the life is not full. It's somehow something has been missed. So I wanted to highlight or try to experience those more, how to say it in English, I was just trying to say. So something more natural, something more like highly connected with the person itself. So more like literatic, this kind of things, but not only, let's say, chess, the best, the most accurate. No, I don't judge word in that way. I see things more like a colorful way with how to say, we say like with degrees or with temperatures. I don't know how to say exactly. Just like the world should not only be the one with accuracy, with right and wrong things. No, I want to prefer the other way. And also that I felt like every time when I made decision, I was trying to see, okay, so if you choose this, you would of course lose some of the other part. Would you be regretful that? If you feel like, okay, if I didn't do that, I feel like it's super pity, I would be regretful that, then keep that in, right? So for example, I was sometimes also asking myself, would you feel like very pity that you spend some time on other fields which caused you cannot be a stronger chess player? I agree that if I put more efforts on chess as some of the other professional chess players, I could be stronger. Maybe one day I could break 2,700, or even I could be top 50 or top even 40, 30. I don't think that's impossible, to be honest. But, I hope that I wanted to achieve that, but if the precondition is I need to sacrifice all the other things, let's say studies, the time you spend on your interests, I feel like no, I would be regretful that because when you at your 20s to do something compared to when you at your 50s to do something, it's not the same thing. So therefore, I realized that there should be pros and cons for every of your decisions. So just follow your heart.
I very much admire that mindset you have, and I think it's very inspirational to see that you live like that, and you still manage to be incredibly successful, but still have a life. There is so much more in there, and that makes you so happy. One of the occasions when I guess you decided to follow your heart or your interest is that you decided to continue studying and went to university, which ended up in you being in 2020 appointed a professor at Shenzhen University in the School of Physical Education. So what do you do there for a job now exactly? Is that all connected to chess, or is this fully like international relation focused?
It is mainly connects with chess at the moment. So the courses I give is about professional chess because all the students that in the university are having decent chess skills, so they need to become certain level in case to be a student at Shenzhen University under this major. So the course I taught is more close to a professional level. Apart from that, I also have few projects that launched by school, which is trying to promote chess or trying to explore a studying method for chess, this kind of thing. So we call it like a revolutionary teaching projects. And apart from that, recently I also did some administrative works not related with chess. It's more like a general sports field, and also some service works. So that is more like general and broad. Yeah, and also I'm in charging of the team building because in the university we wanted to create or build or train a professional sports team, which also includes chess team. So I'm also working on that part, and also taking charge for organizing some events or doing some public relations things. Let's say promoting chess or promoting the sports influence in the campus and outside of campus, national or international. So that is something in long term. It's not something we say, okay, we do that, we can do. It's basically you think about what would be the specialty in your university, which should be the preference we want to achieve in the next couple of years. According to that plan, we'll see, okay, so what kind of institutions or organizations or whatever we want to collaborate with in case to promote the influence. But all these are something additional. The fundamental thing for me is lectures, is to see how to cultivate the students and what is the goal. So, for example, helping them to become a strong chess player, helping them to become a decent graduate who just loves chess, but using chess to find his or her real passion in other fields, and how to help them find the studying method that suits them the most. I guess that's the most important thing. It's not the skills I taught to students, but the method to them, like how to study. I guess that's also nowadays, especially I found that the students here I taught they would be benefit from and what they really learn, because the knowledge is unlimited, right? We cannot tell them all we know, or even something we don't know, we also need to know ourselves. So it's basically about more general things.
Can I follow up to clarify, because this idea of chess at the university is very interesting, but it's also something I'm not very familiar with. So the students you're teaching, their main focus is chess, or they have another degree and they do the chess kind of on a scholarship, similar than like in a US university, I guess, where different sports are done on the side?
Well, some system I don't know very well, like you said, the chess scholarship in US universities, because I heard something but not knowing the details, so I will just try to come up with our situation. So let's say the students I taught, they came under the sports training major. And this sports training major was under the normal, let's say, we call it education degree. But now we had some huge changes in the university, and the education department doesn't exist anymore, and we became a new sports department. But I'm not so sure what they will get in their degree. But their major is sports training, which means in Chinese universities, if you're in this major, there are some fundamental courses that you have to study. Let's say like those sports biological things, these courses, and those sports cultural things. And that is somehow the fundamental courses. And apart from that, there's another part which calls your sports specialty. So for example, if a student is coming to the university, since they play very good basketball, then their sports specialty would be basketball. So the students here I'm teaching is because their specialty is chess. So chess is also the part of the fundamental course, but this part is different if they came from different sports. And apart from these fundamental courses, they also have selective courses, which is the same with other majors. Let's say the same with law students, with economic students or things like that. So they can choose any courses they like, they're interested. So basically, it's still like, let's say, the campus, the college studies is not only focusing on chess. Therefore, I said in my previous answers that they actually have the right, they have the possibility to choose after the graduation. They want to become a strong chess player, a strong coach, or maybe even they could cross to other fields. It's all possible.
That is very cool to have like a degree where you can like be in the sports general, but it's also very chess centric if you want to make it. Can I ask, what is the general popularity of chess in China? Is it something you would say is very popular? Do you, for example, sometimes get recognized on the street by people?
Well, it depends on the location where I am. So, for example, if I'm in my hometown, which is located in the south part of China, it's called Xinhua. Yes, I mean, most of the people would recognize me. So most of them even heard my name, and some of them may recognize me. I felt like my name is more well known than my face. Okay, so that's a good thing, because then I can, just go out as anybody, right? So I like this way. I don't want, people can recognize me so easily, but because then you probably have some restrictions when you travel out, right? Also, for example, when I was in Beijing, I was in our national team, because that area, that region, gathered a lot of athletes, professional athletes, Olympic sports, non-Olympic sports. So in that area, there are more people tend to recognize you. Or let's say in some province, some cities that chess developed very well, so people sometimes could recognize me. But that is not very, very often to see in China. So back to your question, the popularity in chess is, let's say, is improved compared to decades ago, but I believe that there are still potentials to become more and more popular. I see there is a huge room in this perspective. So nowadays the situation is like the younger generation. Let's say that the parents were born after 80s. They would be They have high credits on chess. They want their children to learn chess. But if we're talking about parents after 50s or 60s, or let's say in these elder generation, their recognition on chess is not that high. So according to this tendency, I believe that in the next 10 or 20 years, probably chess would become even more popular.
Yeah. In the UK, where I'm at the moment, I feel that the Queen's Gambit in the past year made a big bang for chess and made it a lot more popular, especially among women. Was the Queen's Gambit something that created like a boom in China as well, or have you, for example, watched it?
Yeah, definitely. And while you're talking about this, actually, there's a publisher in China bought the right to translate this book, not the TV series, but the book into Chinese. And I was advisor for this book translation, so I know very well not only the TV series but also the book. So in general, I thought that it is a great TV production to promote chess, and it could easily see that the whole production team did a lot of preparation to study chess, to study chess skills, rules, and also history to make this TV more like something could happen in the real world. And also, I think the topics that contains in this TV production, let's say, the gender issue, the the fashions, and also the growing up stories, all these are actually jumping out of the chess world. It's more like a general topic that people could brought a lot of public discussions, which is also the reason I like this movie more, because I feel like nowadays if you somehow product a movie that only focusing on a specific field, that is losing the general interest, because something you talked is too deep and too professional. Naturally, you would lose some readers who are not interested about this part. But the Queen's Gambit is basically could suit the people that come from different background, with different age, with different interests. For example, some of my friends, they told me they don't know chess, they're not interested about chess, but they just feel like the dress code from Beth is just like you know they are very interested about this. And also there are people who told me like this is a very good gender topic TV series to watch about. And also more friends told me they didn't know. Okay, who doesn't know chess at all? They told me, okay, so after this movie, I realized how you look like when you play chess. So actually, um, just like people could approach in different perspectives while watching this movie.
Yeah. I have one final question to conclude, because we're nearly at the end today, talking about these gender issues. So the FIDE declared 2022 the year of the women in chess, and they're planning a range of events to include female participation and I don't know, like workshops on mental strength. This podcast is part of the series. Is there anything you could think of that you would like to see from FIDE to support women in chess, either women that are already in chess or maybe to make it more attractive to new people to join?
Well, I think first of all, FIDE already did a lot to improve women's chess. In professional level, for example, they changed the format, and in the intermediate level, they also try to create some projects to encourage more girls to participate into chess. And also, I'm very happy to see that we're going to have this Women's Year in Chess. I felt that it's really a great milestone in the chess history for female chess players. And I believe that this is not the this is not the completion of women's chess, but it's a starting point of women's chess, and there are a lot more things that we could explore in the future and could do and could collaborate with other institutions, bring more resources to pay attention to women's chess and see how to launch more interesting projects, how to encourage more women to get involved into the chess world. I talk about women, not girls, because for girls, maybe we're thinking about we could try to cultivate more strong girl players, try to encourage them, keep going on chess, do not quit at a young age. But if we're talking about women in chess, we could try to approach chess in a different perspective, not talking about professional chess, become a strong chess player, but see, okay, so chess can represent what kind of functions in chess. For example, try to, let me see how to say in English, just to see what the particular group needs if they wanted to approach chess as an intellectual sport. Okay, so I believe it's a good alternative compared to video games or maybe other things, right? Or maybe pokers, right? So I mean, it's not a bad alternative at this. I'm not saying the others is not good, but it's just an additional option. And if one day want to change something, and if some group wants to approach it as a way to cultivate a tougher mindset, I guess it's also a good way, right? Or maybe just simply you wanted to refresh your mind from the work you're doing. I think that's also a good leisure option. So I think that in this perspective, we also could try to find more things to bring women in, because if we're talking about sports, some sports which needs more physical energy. So women, of course, we can see that we're less advantaged in that, right? But chess is something that if we only compete for fun, I didn't see there's any obstacle or there's any this difficult point to stop women step in.
Yeah, it's a great sport, not only for the professionals, but also for leisure and a lot of the amateur and club players. And we're really hoping to bring more women in. Well, thank you very much on that, Yifan. I think that's the end of our podcast already. Thank you so much for being with us today. It was an absolute honor and pleasure to have you here.
Great. Thank you, Lilli.
Hello, chess friends. This is Michael. I am the regular host of the German Schachgeflüster podcast. Thanks a lot to Lilli for this wonderful interview and also to FIDE for our podcast cooperation. It was really an honor to have world's #1 Hou Yifan as a guest. I'm sure that with her chess results and also with her personality, she inspires many women and girls to play chess. And that's of course one of the most important goals of this podcast series. Our next interview guest will be Susan Namangale. Susan is the president of the Chess Association of Malawi in Africa, and also a FIDE arbiter and trainer. Please don't forget to subscribe to the FIDE podcast so that you won't miss the next episodes. Thank you for listening and see you soon.